Hello, hi guys. This is Gosia. This is Cosmic Agency. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm finally going to share with you the videos and the conversations and my thoughts and my perceptions and our experiences. Something I was going over in my head for a long time to share it with you. Originally, I was going to just do one video. I had one specific and actually two conversations in mind to share with you. But then as I was combining other conversations, going over so many different chats from the past all the way to the beginning to fit with this topic that I had in mind, well, I started to see more to share, conversations that I actually even forgot. So it grew to be a very long series. In fact, I was going to make one video, then two, then three, but now it's going to be two videos about the Swaruu chapter. So this is part one. There's going to be Swaruu part two. Then there's going to be a video about Aneeka, and then there's going to be Yazhi and Athena. And what is this about? Well, it's going to be a look into the behind the scenes interactions and psychology. You understand more about their character traits and their personality and the motivation behind this commitment, what went into it, the efforts from both sides to maintain this project. So it's going to be very important. Okay, I want you everybody to watch the entire series, because with this you're going to understand so much more. I'm going to share with you the conversations, nothing shared before, conversations with Swaruu, conversations with Aneeka, but also conversations with Rachel that were never shared, conversation with the Hashbalims and with Kila regarding Swaruu. So stay tuned. I'm very excited. I'm going to have a lot of commentaries, especially in this first part. Okay. So stay with me because I have a lot to share and a lot to comment on. So the first part of the series about Swaruu herself is the section about contact itself, contacts themselves. You have to understand that Swaruu was here since 2015, more or less, from what I understand. And her team were involved and engaged with a lot of humans on Earth, talking and interacting online. We were just there at the end of this project that actually began in 2008, and they were spending hours. Swaruu was telling us how she spent 8 to 10 hours daily online with different people. So they were already very tired. She was already very tired, and especially because none of this was actually reaching the public. It was all anonymous, and it's totally fine. You know, they can never ask anybody to share any of this. We never were asked or approached with that purpose. So it was all there as friends, anonymously. But then when they met us, when Swaruu started chatting with us in the end of 2017 and then 2018, well, we decided to share this. And something changed for her at this point, because she realized, okay, I have so many of these contacts, it's too much work, and it started to be an overload for her. And she started to realize, okay, now that I have these guys, I have these new friends, and they are willing to share my stuff, I'm going to write essays. She was writing articles. She was, you know, talking to us, and we were sharing all this. Well, she was like, okay, I have too many contacts at this point. I cannot divide myself in so many directions. And not only that, she was also a leader together with Alanim, like a leading force, guiding force behind the Alanim. And she had a lot of responsibilities on the ship. So she had so much to do. So I remember from the very beginning, she was already expressing that she had too many contacts. And that was a problem. And that was a problem for her and later for Aneeka. But let's go into the first chat. This is August 2018 when she's talking about that specific problem. August 2018. I'm getting a lot of messages from everyone asking for next sessions. I've got no problem per se with being with them. The problem is that it does not stay like that. They want more and more. Individual questions that take a lot of time to answer. The problem is that I'm trying to maximize my time here because I'm scavenging time for the essays that get to thousands at once. So I cannot focus on individual people. But I do enjoy being with them. I feel sorry and sad because of this. Do you want me to talk to them? Perhaps, I don't know yet. What do you think? Well, I am just worried that if it's me who tells them, they might feel I'm trying to be possessive over you. So I feel it should come from you and only then me. Simply tell them you don't have time. People take it here well, don't worry. You are the leader there, with so many responsibilities. That means a group session, okay? If you don't want that, send them an email, telling them you won't have time now for personal messages. And I will do that on the same day too. It's not like I'm taking possession over you. Yes. The problem is that I don't see it convenient to talk to people in a one-to-one basis anymore. It is a liability. For example, I came in here early and I forgot to block one contact I have when I was working on the Biology 4 paper, and he was distracting me with personal problems. We would never bother you outside of our assigned times. I don't understand how people can do that. I would never interrupt you. On the contrary, your interruptions, should they occur, are necessary. With you and Robert it's different. We three are working like an engine to disclose all the information. So you and Robert are never invasive. Your interruptions are necessary. Oh yes? Thank you. Well, but I wouldn't dare. Anyway, I feel the only way is to be honest about this problem with everyone. Explain that you don't have time, period. That's what I do. I'm afraid if we tell the others something like that, they will be very disappointed. That's why I tend to postpone this very much against my own health, because it does hurt me. Swaruu, you mustn't worry too much about disappointing people. If they have just a bit of a rational mind, they will understand. How come I understand this and they wouldn't? I do worry. That's why I seek your help. It's something I am not used to, so I cannot handle the problem. Well then, write a letter. Tell me when you are going to send it, and on the same day, I will tell them too. Don't feel bad. That's what hurts me, because here, we do not do those things to people, so it's hurting me, and a lot. I mean it. I feel bad about myself. I feel guilty. Don't. Here it is common. They should understand you are busy even without having to explain. Somehow me and Robert do. Okay, I will, and I will include it in my next essay too. I also feel a bit bad about not responding to many, but then I remember it's either videos and overall reaching out to the whole world or distracting myself to talk to individuals that does not help the overall cause. Gosia, you are now over 35,000 subscribers. Robert is now pushing 110,000. We cannot focus on 5 or 6 individuals. There is a lot on my shoulders, not to mention leading a 7,600 crew fleet of 13 ships. Of course, no need to explain to me, it's common sense. So as you see from here, Swaruu was sharing that she has too many people that she was talking to. At that time, well, we didn't know that yet because we met them when they were still very open to people. I mean, we met them this way because they were open to talking to us. So at that time, I was still myself excited to share this this friendship with other people. I introduced quite a lot of people. Well, I don't know, 5 maybe, to her, because I was just very excited to share this. I never wanted to keep this to myself or to be exclusive with this. I was so happy other people could experience what I was experiencing, what we were experiencing with Robert. But it started to become a problem for Swaruu because it was just too much. You know, we never wanted to be possessive about this. And I know that some people, when they were approaching us and asking to be connected to them, we had to start to say no, but not because we wanted to keep this to ourselves. No. But we were just noticing from the conversations that they simply didn't want that. Also, Alanin was saying that Swaruu was just writing and writing. She just locked in her room and she just like focused on writing, and just very happy that she finally found an outlet, someone to share her information. So she was focused on that. She wanted to be focused more on that. But she also felt extremely bad because of that she was focused on writing and she didn't have time to distribute among all these different contacts, and she just didn't know how to handle this. She didn't know how to manage this, and many times she was coming to me and asking for advice, or what do I do? For me, it was very easy. Okay, I don't understand. If you don't have time, you just say you don't have time. It's a very simple solution. Like, don't complicate yourself too much. Just say you don't have time. People understand, including myself. Okay? If she came to me, and I was telling her this as well, if you come to me at any point and say, Gosia, I don't have time to meet, I cannot meet you, maybe down the road, sometime, few months from now or whatever, I have too many responsibilities on the ship, of course I would understand that. In fact, it was the reverse. I didn't understand why she was talking to me, having all these responsibilities. I didn't understand why they were spending so much time with us. In the beginning, I was like asking all the time, are you sure that you want to talk to me? Do you have time? I mean, why are you spending time with me? And I remember she was just always saying, oh, Gosia, you're one of us. Enough said, enough said. You know, of course, there was this plan, as we understood later, with Swaruu, with me coming to this immersion, you know, at the end of the contact phase, general contact, because I came into the immersion, so they told me, in 2017, of course, I believe that. I have no grounds not to believe that. I've always believed that. 2017 in August, and that was the end of this mass program. So it was very logical to me. Okay, I came to do this. I agreed to do this with Swaruu because no one was sharing anything. So okay, I'm going to go in the immersion and I'm going to meet you and I'm going to share this, and with Robert. So that's what she was always saying. Oh, I just, you know, one of us, that's it. But still, I didn't know that. I didn't remember that. So for me, it was very, very strange. And I didn't understand why she was having so much trouble telling people that she doesn't have time. Here on Earth, and I was like coaching her, trying to explain this, people understand this. People don't have time for millions of friends, and they have responsibilities, they have jobs, they have their families, they have priorities. It doesn't mean that you don't care about someone, you just kind of don't have time. You know, it's like I always was telling Dale this. Like, poor Dale, I was always telling him, Dale, I don't have that much time to be sitting there and chatting. I really don't. I have to focus on these videos, especially when you have a mission like this and time is very valuable. You have to reach hundreds of people at the same time with the videos, rather than talking to people individually that doesn't reach anything. And that's what Swaruu was realizing at this point. Okay, now I have you guys and you are sharing this. I should focus here. But what do I do? How do I tell these other people that I don't have time? And she was so stressing about this. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. It was for me so simple. Just people will understand, Swaruu. Just say you don't have time. Which, by the way, I have to say, this also includes us, okay? Because I don't want anybody to think that I was telling her not to talk to other people and just talk to... No, it wasn't like that at all. I was always including myself in this situation. I was, Swaruu, if you ever don't have time, just tell me, okay? Tell me you don't have time. If you don't have time for the other person, just tell them. It's okay. They are not going to be as hurt as you imagine. They are always imagining people will be so hurt. So they were just overcomplicating this matter in my eyes. But yeah, with this time thing, I think it's just that it's one of the reasons they perceive time differently. In their society, the time just flows differently. It's all very relaxed. You always have time for everything. You don't work. I remember the situation experience with the step down person. And when we were going to the event that had a specific hour, that person was coming with us, coming along. And I'm going to say that person, as I'm still not saying officially if it's he or she. Okay, so that person was taking such a long time to get ready. And I remember I was like, looking at the time, we have to go. Like, we will go now or we will be late. And it was just such a long time that this person was preparing. It was like, the time is just different for them. So I guess that's one of the aspects here, that she didn't understand how to handle this. In her understanding, if you have time, if you care for someone, well, you always have time. There's always time. What is this that suddenly I don't have time? You know, she was very confused. So yeah, it was hard to manage this. We talked about this many times, how to handle the people. And it's not like she didn't care about them. Okay, that's very important. She cared, but that's why it was stressful for her, because she didn't want to hurt them, because she cared. And this comes from this fact, and you will see this from the future conversations as well, that Swaruu wanted to be loved by everybody all the time and accepted. And she didn't want to be disappointing to anybody. From her perception, disappointing. Because, for example, if she had told me after a few chats, okay, I think we have to pause for now, I really wouldn't have been disappointed, because every time with her, it was a gift. I didn't expect much more behind that. I didn't, like I said, understand why they were talking to me in the first place and for so long and every day. I didn't get that. So in her eyes, she didn't want to be disappointing to people, and she wanted to be loved by everybody. That was the problem. But now, here, there is a little bit of a problem that I see, and I'll be totally honest. Okay, this is a honest look into our experience and some of their psychology. I'm not saying this refers to everybody. Every Taygetan will be different, but it does apply to some of them. Okay, Swaruu and Aneeka for sure. Okay, this desire not to hurt anybody. No, this empathy towards others, not to hurt their feelings, sometimes it can go into the area of starting to be a little false towards those people. Okay, what do I mean by that? It's just that if you continuously act because you do not want to disappoint people, you're gonna start to say things that you don't mean. And that can never end well. I'm gonna explain you in a second how I discovered this for the first time, which was a shocker, and I was actually very sad. This can border here sometimes on being a little false, because you are not being honest. You are not being direct. You are not really truly saying what you want and what you feel, but what you think those people want to hear. But then you go and you express your dissatisfaction with that behind that person back. And that happened. And I was telling them when I first discovered that, and after a while, this cannot end well ever for either parties, because you are going to grow in resentment for not expressing really what you want. And then the other person also in the end is going to feel a little deceived if they find out. It's going to be a problematic situation. I mean, it's always better, I was telling them, just to be honest from the beginning, from the start. Transparent, direct communication. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them less real. It makes them more real. It's just the way some of them are because of that, I don't know, deep psychological shadow of not being able to say no to people. Again, this doesn't make them less real. It actually makes them so much more real. I was always telling people, no, they are people. Believe me, they are people. They are just like complicating sometimes too much the situations for them not to be people. They are just very emotional and very reading so much into different situations. Of course, I'm not saying that they all are like that. Like, for example, men, I think, are different. I think this is more a feminine trait. Okay, now, I told you that I had a situation. I learned this first time the hard way. Okay, this was still at the time when they were open, or so I thought still, to new contacts. Because they were talking to many people. I mean, they were open to us, right? As new friends. So, as I said, I was sharing this experience with other people and bringing other people into the conversation and introducing them. Look, 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 my friend Swaruu, look. And there was this guy called Victor. Okay, this is like a nexus point to me because I realized many things at this point, and it actually deepened our friendship because I started to have a deeper insight into their psychology. So Victor visited me and Robert in Barcelona. And he was a very deep person, troubled mind, superstar seed, powerful but troubled. So I was telling him about Aneeka, about Swaruu and all this. Of course, he knew. And this is how we met actually, because he found the channel. Anyway, long story. I introduced him to Aneeka. I asked Aneeka, hey, do you want to maybe talk to this guy? I think he'll really appreciate it. Okay, so they talked. I was there in the conversation next. And in that conversation, Aneeka was super open, super friendly. And at the end of the conversation, something he did not expect, she offered to meet again. So she said, oh, you know, if you are interested, we can reel you in as one of our contacts. And he was like, really? Wow, that would be amazing. And then she even asked him to make some kind of a video about himself, where they can like know more about him. So he went so excited and he made this video. I passed that video to them and I was excited for him. Okay, what happens after that? I was sharing a flat with Robert at that time. Don't ask me how it happened. I do not remember. I went to Robert's room for something. And the computer was on, and I saw his conversation with Aneeka. Robert wasn't there. I know, I wasn't snooping, but he was just there. I was very curious, like, oh, Robert was talking to Aneeka. Okay, just like, I looked, and I saw the name Gosia and the name Victor. Well, what you gonna do? Of course you're gonna be like, oh, they were talking about me. What they were saying? Oh my God, and I saw there something I didn't like and made me cry the whole night. I saw there Aneeka complaining to Robert about me, exact words, bringing in homeless kitties for them to take care of. What? I was like, what the hell? And then Robert was like saying, yeah, but I don't think she meant well, or whatever, this guy, this and that. And then I'm like, yeah, but we don't have time or something, and you know, we are all Okay, I don't remember what was more in that conversation. I do remember that statement, homeless kitties. I was so sad. I was disappointed. But why? Because I felt that at this point we had such a direct and honest communication and friendship that she would have said something to me directly if she didn't want to meet the guy. And why did she even say in the conversation at the end, hey, if you want to hang out again, we are welcome. We're going to welcome you. We will reel you in. He didn't even expect that, right? Why would she say? Why wouldn't she say that to me, but go to Robert and talk about that behind our back? I was very disappointed because I thought we were better than that at this point as friends with Aneeka. I was sad, you know, because I'm always like super honest. I will tell you, I would always tell them how I felt about everything, and I was expecting the same. I thought we were on the same page. So I confronted Aneeka about this a few days later, or something happened, and I asked her, Aneeka, what's going on here? I didn't know that you didn't want more people. Why did you tell him that you wanted to speak to him again? Now he is excited. Well, yes, well, because she was confused herself. She said, because, you know, they're open, but they're not open. Okay, so I in that conversation, we worked it out, and I said to Aneeka, okay, from now on, please just tell me. I want to know exactly where you stand. I need to know. You know, don't what's the word in English? Marear. Don't be, you know, dizzy. Don't make me dizzy here with what you want, what you don't want. Be specific. This is very important, you know, in a friendship and any kind of relationship. So that was a nexus point for me because, one, I realized they really didn't want more people. So unfortunately, I had to tell Victor that that's not gonna go through. And I also realized at that point that sometimes, and this is another point, I have to be super honest, sometimes, you know, like they always say that the contactees have expectations. Sometimes they were the ones creating some of those expectations. It is not always the human contact's fault. Sometimes it is. Every contact is different, of course. Sometimes they do feel entitled to the communication and they are very demanding and they fall in love and they chase them every day and they send them emails. Of course, I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about these situations sometimes where I saw myself that the expectation was being created in a person because of how they were expressing themselves and what they were saying. Like, for example, Victor, he didn't expect to have more than one conversation. He was honored and surprised I even offered that one. And then I offered the next one. And she even said, just make a video and we will reel you in. And then she was telling Robert that I was bringing in homeless kitties. So some of these expectations, I have to be totally honest, because I'll be always honest. It's a very difficult job, by the way, to be a bridge like between two worlds and understand two worlds, because I kind of understand two worlds. But I'm gonna be always very honest and say, you know, if it's something on a human side, or if it's something on an ET side. But sometimes, like I'm saying here, it was something on the ET side that wasn't completely right. They were creating some of these expectations, and then, you know, it's not totally right to be throwing all that blame on the humans only when they were so welcoming, so opening. Of course it's going to create enthusiasm in people, and of course it's going to create some sort of expectations. Oh, I had so many conversations actually with Swaruu and later with Aneeka about this as well, about the psychology of human ET interaction. For example, Swaruu and they were always sending hearts. Okay, you're gonna see this in the next conversation. Always hearts and love. I love you so much, and this and that. And of course, they didn't want to be cold, but there were like other ways of doing that, and they were super, 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 super friendly. I mean, here, for example, on Earth, if you're gonna be super friendly to men, especially, they're gonna think you are flirting with them, like you want something. So this is something we had to teach Swaruu as well, the interaction with men. So we spent many conversations. I did with Swaruu and then with Aneeka, you know, just from my own example of how I am, because I can be assertive, showing them how to be more. And hey, this is very important, okay? I was also teaching them, telling them to be assertive with me, because I also knew from that conversation with Victor that perhaps just like they are not expressing something with other people, this could be happening to me as well, and to Robert. There's something that is not expressed, and it has to be, okay? So I was telling and encouraging them so much to always be honest with us, and to always express, to be assertive. We are not someone special here, okay? This is very important. I didn't want them to be assertive with others, tell others no, and to us yes. No, I was including myself in this group. Always. I was insisting on that. Be honest. You have to be honest with me. Tomorrow you don't want to talk to me anymore, just say it. It's going to be okay, okay? And you're going to feel better too, because them not wanting to say no and hurt, sometimes they were like beginning to want to come up with strategies, and they were like complicating the situation too much. And they were always saying in the end, with Athena especially, they don't want to complicate matters, they want to simplify. They're tired of dramas. But sometimes these dramas were being created because of a simple situation that could have been handled in a simple way, but they were just overcomplicating it. And this situation with Victor also made me realize another thing, and made me realize that sometimes they might have a tendency to go and talk about something, a potential issue or something they didn't express about the person, to another person. And because they had so many contactees, it was to be assumed that they were always, because they were doing that with us, they were talking to us about other people, about other contactees. So it was to be only assumed that if there was something unexpressed about us, that they would also talk about us to other people. And this is where all these different screenshots of the ex-contactees that sometimes are out there popping out, I don't know for what intention, like why you're trying to be mean to us, you know, showing the conversations where supposedly Swaruu or whoever were complaining about us about something. Well, that's how they were sometimes. And you know, this is not a screenshot war here. We are not five. This is not a playground. If I were to come out with the screenshots, okay, about all these different things that were said here and there about different people, you know, but we're not going to do that. We don't do that because this is just so immature. So this is how they were. We were aware of this. They were always talking about other contactees. Yazhi was talking about Taygetans. Taygetans were talking about Yazhi. They were talking about other team members from their crew when there were some issues or something. They were even, I'm sorry, to the step down. They were even talking about the step downs, about the step down person. That's how it is in the family. Okay, this is something that all of us do. Me talking to them about Robert if I didn't like something or something unresolved. I even talked to Yazhi 5 years ago about Matthias. When I first met him, I remember he was forcing me, what I felt was forcing me to live with him. And I was complaining to Yazhi about that, saying that I feel forced, I don't want to live with him. And he's like giving me this, what I feel like ultimatum almost. It's just an uncomfortable situation. And anyway, imagine now, because that's what's happening with these screenshots. Some people are bringing out some screenshots from 6 years ago when one of them, Swaruu or Aneeka or whoever, Yazhi, was saying something about us somewhere, as if, I don't know, to fit with the narrative that, you know, of an attack against us right now. it would be like I'm saying, someone came up now and wanted to create beef division between me and Matthias. So they would go and find a conversation from 5 years ago where I'm complaining to Matthias, to Yazhi, about something, and they would show it to Matthias. Look, she doesn't love you because she said something about you 5 years ago. Like, what is that? This has been transcended and worked out long ago already. It's like in a family. They are all like this family. They all talk, especially women. They are women and they kind of just talk. Men, no. We never experienced any of guys really talk about other people. Or, well, actually, that's not true. The Hashmalibs, yes, they did talk about one of their ex-contactees quite harshly too. But you see, if we were to go into that screenshot war now, that's ridiculous. This is just losing focus. But yeah, all these issues, it has been always worked out, which, by the way, some of these screenshots, I think Yazhi, when I confronted her, because some of these screenshots were coming out later on, and yeah, I was hurt in the beginning when I saw some of them, because I didn't understand, like, again, you are talking about me, like, behind my back, instead of just working out something. And it was like always a simple issue, something, you know, something's very small. So I was hurt again, because like, why are you talking to that person? You know, just come to me, and you know, we have this level of the friendship. We can talk about anything. There's some misunderstanding or something. Just talk to me and not to another person. And Yazhi denied actually having some of these conversations. She said, because remember that older lady, when she was accused of these manipulations behind the scene in 2019, she was one of the reasons one of the things she was accused of was manipulations of conversations to create division between crew members. So Yazhi said that. She said, I don't recognize these conversations. I was never there. It seems like it's false. So I don't even know what conversation were true or not. It doesn't matter. The point is that I know that sometimes they were talking maybe about some kind of perception of us, or something they didn't express with us, because that's how they were with us about others as well. That's how they are. It's like a family, okay? It's not something huge. Like I'm saying, how many times I talked to them about Robert, about something. You know, Robert this and that. You were like kind of like releasing your frustration about something, or something happens, you know, during the day, but it doesn't mean anything in the long term. It doesn't mean anything for the friendship overall. I still love Robert. I will always be on his side. But yeah, there are things that we don't get along exactly. But so what? It happens with every friendship like this. It happens in every relationship. It happens with Matthias. In fact, with Matthias and Robert, I think I have more issues than I ever had with them. Ever. So, all this has been transcended and worked out long ago, and the best proof of that was that they continued with us, right? Where are all these other people, you know, who are in a mean way trying to undermine our friendship with them, showing some screenshots from 6 years ago? Well, where are they? Why didn't their contact continue and ours continue? Well, because it had to be for a reason. No, this was worked out. This was nothing. Everything always was being worked out very fast. In fact, we were always talking to them about this, and we were like asking them, look guys, we had this deal. We were like, okay guys, I think we understand that you have this sometimes need to be talking and you know, expressing some things. It's, you know, be chatty, a little gossipy. It's okay. Well, just, I'm thinking, try not to do it with other contactees, because, and we were saying this to them, and we were right, this might bite all of us in the bum one day, which means some of this conversation might come out one day, and it's not going to be for a good reason, and it's not going to make you look good. I was telling them, because it shows that you are there engaged behind people's back. It's just avoid that. I remember I was saying to them, if you have a need to ever chat about anything that maybe you don't want to express 100% even with us, I don't know what it could be, but anything, small things. Just talk about yourselves on the ship. Like, don't you have enough friends? Just go grab nice shara and sit there and chat, you know? Even if you have to release something, or maybe you don't feel understood about something by Gosia. I'm just imagining now. Just say it to Naishara or whoever. Why do you have to go to talk to another contactee? This is not going to end well, because one day, that's why I always say I do not trust anybody with the information or with anything, because at any point someone might come out and use that against us and against this contact. As I say, the whole group, and we have to be united. That's why. And we had this deal with them. They understood. They said, now that's why you will not see ever screenshots of us talking bad about them, Taygetans. Never. Where are those shots? That because we never did. That because we never did. For that reason, we never would do that. We would never engage in conversations with anybody who is not of our team, and not even with we were keeping very to ourselves, just Robert and I, and exactly for that reason we didn't want to have any possible screenshots coming out in the future were we were saying something. Oh, Aneeka, you know, I didn't like what she said there. We were never engaging with that. I always was addressing Aneeka if there was something. There was almost never anything. But if there was, I would address Aneeka and not go to another person and speak about that. So we had this deal with them. That's why you never ever will see screenshots of us talking bad about them, because we never did. And never will. Also, we talked with Robert about this, like, why do they do that, some of them? Why do they have this need? Well, they're young females, like I said, there's more tendencies there. And also, we reach this conclusion that sometimes I feel that I think they were feeling that they were establishing some kind of a bond with another person doing that. Because if you are giving them something of your emotion that is not expressed with another person, that makes that person privileged to something, like you entrust them with that. And I think they were doing that maybe unconsciously to create that impression, that perception of a bond, that they were giving that trust to that person in that moment. Trust, of course, that has been broken over and over again, because these people were then out there and showing these conversations, and it's just all kinds of circus. Okay, I know I'm talking a lot, but there's a lot of things on my mind that I wanted to share. It's all very important to understand this interaction and their psychology, our interaction, our psychology. Remember, this is all from our perspective, from our experience. Now, another thing that I noticed was that sometimes, and I think everybody does that, people do that on Earth as well. My mom does that all the time. They were sometimes reading something into situations or what people said in their own way. But like I'm saying, this is something we all do, I think. Everybody does that. Okay, but for example, when Dale was expressing that he had pains, they were asking, how are you, Dale? Well, he has pains, so he explains, I have pains. Well, later they were telling me that they feel that he's saying that because he wants healing. And they were starting to feel uncomfortable when he was expressing that he felt sick, because they felt so bad for him, but they couldn't help him, and they felt he wanted some healing, even though he never said that. And that's what was making them feel bad and guilty, so they were kind of like avoiding that too. And I remember I was telling them, no, he never expressed that. Don't read too much. I think it's coming from the fact that they sometimes feel guilty about not being able to do more. Maybe psychologically they feel some kind of a conflict about that. They would like to do more. So then whatever person says that could point to that, but it's not what that person is saying, that's what they are reading there. Because it's something they are projecting of them. It's their own fear. It's their own feeling about the situation. So they were like projecting that onto others. Because I was saying, that's not what Dale wants. Like, seriously, you don't have to worry about that. He's just expressing how he feels. I mean, how many times have you been expressing that you are sick? We'll talk about this in the next part. That's going to be the next part, actually, is Swaruu and being sick. So the same way as you are talking about your sickness, well, Dale is talking about his sickness. I said, let him express himself, just like you do. And they were, well, but he wants healing, and that makes feel us obliged. Like, I said, you are creating that. Like, get out of your head. Too much. You're too much in your head. Like, let him just be. Although I understand you, I was always like trying to understand both sides and be between the two worlds. Another situation was, for example, when back in, I don't know, 2019 and 20, that was when they were already tired. They were even considering to leave the orbit. And the people were expressing in their videos, the community, how much they love Taygetan and Swaruu and how much it's changed their life. And I remember I shared that video, those videos, it was like a compilation with them as something positive, like, look how much you are appreciated. And I think they said, some of us here see this as a sentimental pressure on us for us to stay. I said, no, that's not what they are saying. They are not saying that. That's what you are projecting, because you might feel a little guilty about leaving. So you are conflicted about that, and you are seeing that in that situation. That's not what people are doing here. Of course, they will love you to stay, but they are not pressuring you to stay. They are just expressing their love, expression of their love and appreciation. It doesn't mean anything than that. You don't have to read more into that. But sometimes they had that tendency. That's why I made the interview with Marianne, who is a Italian lady who is doing Space Academy Sector Earth in Italian, and she did this interview for Italian audience. And there we were talking about how we are visualizing the open contact, and I was saying to her, okay, we have to be careful though that we are wishing that the open direct contact, because they might interpret this in their own way sometimes. And Marianne, because she didn't know this, she was like, no, Gosia, let us dream. We are just dreaming. I think they are intelligent enough to understand that we are just here dreaming. No, and I was like, well, yes, but some of them might also feel like it's some kind of an imposition, that now we are expecting that from them, and we are just dreaming, like she said. So sometimes you have to be careful about these little things. The point is that they always had to be free. I always was making sure that they understand that they have to be free. I mean, freedom is very important for me. I always want to feel like I'm doing what I'm doing because this is what I want to be doing, and I don't want any pressure on me or any sort of nothing. And they were never ever by the way, pressure me to anything, but so wasn't I. That's very important. So weren't we. Freedom is always very important. Space. This is something that I was actually getting into the fights with Dale as well, because well, at the time when Swaruu and Aneeka wasn't here anymore, he didn't talk to them so much anymore, because Athena was a new guy on the block, and then Yazhi, she was a tiny little girl. She always had to be accompanied in the chats anyway. I had to be there. So it was a different dynamic than when Swaruu and Aneeka was here. So I was always explaining this today. I was like, okay, but you have to understand, they don't have to talk to us, to any of us, ever. They have to be free. Just let them be, If they want to come, they want to come. And again, this applies to us. Always. And we always try to be fine when they were not there. And this is going to be very interesting in the next video. Okay, stay tuned, because yeah, like I'm saying, I tried to show that I'm fine, we are fine when they were not there, but actually that wasn't that well seen and received either. And yeah, you have to wait for the next video. It's just, there's so many different things. Now, there was also a problem with the human men for Swaruu. And now this is a next conversation where you will see Swaruu and I talking about the contactees that were human men. By the way, this doesn't apply to Dale, okay? This is not about Dale.
October 2018. I'm dragging along way too many contacts. Too much responsibility. I cannot be online for so many hours. I can only work with you and Robert because we do get along best, so I must drop the others, or else I cannot continue with anyone. My health is bad, not exaggerating. I need a lot of offline time or I will be in trouble. Minimum I can lose my last eye. But I cannot tell them this. I am glad at least you are realizing this, Swaruu, and taking control of your health finally. I've got 2 men looking for me all the time, hurt. I told them both that I cannot be their girl, and I see few others going that exact way. You shouldn't worry about any of us getting hurt too much. Anyone would understand if you say, I don't have time, I really don't see the problem. If you suddenly came to us and said, Gosia, Robert, I don't have time anymore, I will understand perfectly. I wouldn't take that to heart. I appreciate every moment with you, and I wouldn't want to have you talking to me as any form of obligation. In fact, I always tell you that I do not even understand why you choose to spend so much time with me. The Council for Earth of the Federation has invited me to participate actively in the Viera, mostly Saturdays. But I cannot do that work if I am all burned out from talking as much as 8 to 10 hours a day. I still don't know exactly what they want from me. It's too recent, but it may be good. Are you all in Pleiades so worried about hurting people? We are. I hope I will remain Gosia when I go back there. Not so worried about that because, you know, the truth is always best than avoiding and not communicating the facts. I really think they would not be hurt as you paint it. We here are tougher than you think. I see no problem in telling people I don't have time, period. People here don't have time for each other all the time, and it's not taken to heart. That's hard to understand for me. If you care about someone, you always find the time. Not necessarily. Time is limited, and you only have so much of it. So you must take care of your priorities. If my priorities are videos, for example, I will not be talking to people, and they understand it. They respect that, or should. No one takes it to heart. If you have too many people to care about, you just cannot give them all your time. It's technically impossible, and we understand it here. On another note, that's why I don't have many friends. I don't have time for that. So I don't even start looking for them or bonding with people. I know my limits. Okay, I will tell you something, what I also think that triggers and reinforces their feelings. Remember we were in a group chat? You are very expressive with your love towards them too. I'm telling you this honestly, from my impression. It activates men more here. It confirms to them you are interested. I was only sending back the same, not being cold. I do have a big issue with not knowing how to work with men, relate to them or with them. Earth men. Taygetan men are very different. I know, but you are very expressive. I know it's the way you are, but men here will see that as being interested. If you smile at a man, he thinks you are interested. It's like a green light to them. It's crazy, but it's how it is. My ex-boyfriend used to tell me that I flirt with men when I was just being nice. Okay, that's my exact issue here. And you are sending a lot of hearts and telling them you love them so much too. I don't know what I should have said in those circumstances. Well, perhaps just say, lots of love to you all too. Not, I love you, so-and-so, so much too, and hard. You don't need to return with the same expression. How am I to know that when I am not trained as an earth woman? Of course, no one is blaming you, Swaruu. It's not your fault. Oh yes, I am also to blame. Taygetan men are not sexually aggressive. They expect women to be. There is a species gap at work here. Women are the hunters in the Taygetan society. I am not used to be hunted. Taygetan men will only give you respect and will never ever hit on you, much less insist on a relationship. They are extremely respectful. You can even tell them that you love them and they still will be respectful, as that's normal for them.
Yes, I completely understand Swaruu here because I've always had the same issue. Maybe not now so much, I don't interact with people, but before I was, I think, well, more interactive. I had my store in Barcelona and I've always been very nice, like to everybody. For me, it doesn't matter if it's a young guy, if it's an old guy, if it's an old lady, if it's a child, I'm always the same. I'm smiling. And I remember that my ex-boyfriend long ago was saying that I have to be careful because it looks like I'm flirting. Why are you flirting with these guys? What am I doing? What did I do? I'm just nice. I'm smiling. That doesn't mean I'm flirting. What am I supposed to be? I'm supposed to be rude? Yeah, you should be more like, more tough and distant. Well, why can I not be kind to people? Why do they have to interpret it their own way? But anyway, that's how it is. That's how it is on Earth. And this is the problem that Swaruu had too. And here in this next conversation, this is Alanim and Lilaila, who was a communication officer in the CIC deck. They're coming to me and asking for my help with Swaruu regarding men, human men.
(2019)
Hello. Hello, Lee. Hello, Gosia.
Hello, Your Majesty Alanim. Lilaila told me I can call you just Alanim.
Please do. I do find it quite uncomfortable to be called that way, even more knowing what it means on Earth.
I am quite nervous actually talking to you individually. A great honor talking to you.
The honor is mine.
And thank you for letting me just address you Alanim.
You are most welcome. The main issue at hand is Swaruu, taking in account and observing recent events and not so recent events.
Okay, listening.
Swaruu is very enlightened everywhere, with every subject, but precisely because of her unusual upbringing, she has no experience dealing with men, much less human men. That places her at risk, and the rest of us as well. She is way too innocent.
Swaruu, fem holographicus in extremis.
After talking to Counselor Naishera, we have seen that it's best for Swaruu to never be alone with unknown people, much less if there is a human man in the group.
I believe this to be a very good strategy, yes.
I just wanted to make you aware of this. She must be escorted at all times, please.
I understand. Thank you for caring for her and coming up with ideas how to protect her, and all of you in the process. I just hope that she sticks by it and won't get sucked into the individual sessions, with men especially, again.
Not anymore. Not convenient for her, not convenient for any one of us, you included. She cannot see men's hidden intentions. She doesn't know how to place limits. She cannot read their intentions. And men, particularly human men, find her very attractive, bordering on irresistible. And we think it's because of her innocence.
She is learning, but she is not ready.
Yes, I saw her in some group interactions earlier last year, and yes, she was quite giving with them, hearts and expressions of deeper connection, from what I remember. That might ignite some passion for her. I remember I told her she needed to be colder with them a bit.
Yes, good advice.
We had a several-hour talk about men with Swaruu, Naishera and I. She is unaware of many things.
I see, that's good. Do you have experience with Earthmen? I'm asking both of you.
Not I. Only what I see from CIC.
I do. I was on the surface back in 2015. Human men can be very sexually aggressive, especially if they see you as different from other women. And I had a few contacts as well. But, in general, I'm a lot older than Swaruu, at least in this body. I do have much more experience with men. Swaruu just cannot handle them, until they are too obviously close. She probably could have stopped many of them long before they became a problem. But she wants to please the contact, to be nice and acceptable. Swaruu grew up with no parents, and in a forest. Over and over again the same way. So even with multiple incarnations, she did not accumulate social skills. This does place her at risk and vulnerable to men, human men. You are now starting a new phase of this contact, but Swaruu must never be left alone with other people. Much less with a man, please. You and Robert not included, as you already know each other rather well.
Okay, I can be her bodyguard in whatever way I can. And I can be her emotional support if she needs anything from the Earth girl perspective.
Thank you. We must all be. For the good of all. We did scold her last Saturday. With such a big mind. She should know better. But apparently she is quite blind about social skills. And she accepted this as a fact. We were not yelling at her. We were only telling her how men think and react, with examples, some of them not very comfortable ones. So we just wanted to make you aware of the problem. Ask for your help, perhaps.
Thank you, Alanim. Of course, I'm eager to help out, anytime. The problem is that I am not sure she has a tendency to listen.
She listens very nicely, and then does exactly what she wants.
We know more people may want to talk to her. We must see that the same mistakes are not repeated.
I know. She did mention that she was open to the serious investigators. We must make sure she does not talk to them in private and that she is more distant. There are important tasks to be done by you there as a group in general, and with these types of issues coming in the way, they should be dealt with right at the beginning of each new contact. We are all learning here. Perhaps even it would be a good idea to have a man there present with her?
Robert.
For example, or someone on your side. I'm talking about contacts in English. In case there are any investigators she might wish to talk to.
Raquel, perhaps. Or it may be an overkill. He is special forces. But he is kind and he speaks 3 languages.
I think it wouldn't be even necessary for him to be interactive much. Just his presence there would block the potential for any deeper intimacy to arise.
Yes, just there as a deterrent. But, in general, it's Svaru's responsibility to understand the issue, so she can handle any future situation. But we help her as we know that she is our young. I think it's connected to her wanting to be loved by everyone, as she most definitely did not have love as a child as she was alone. The only problem, that in itself is not a problem, is that Swaruu has so much to do. We do see that she is taking on a lot on her little young shoulders.
Yes, that's why problems like Earthmen should be nipped in the bud so they don't evolve. You don't have time to deal with this, any of you.
We, and you, must coordinate with her efficiently as for her to have time for her other things, and, even more importantly, she must have time for herself or she will fall out of focus. She needs that focus that only peace and calm can bring, for the benefit of us all.
Understood and agreed. I like efficiency and organization myself.
Swaruu doesn't need any men problems now.
Definitely. Thank you for entrusting me with the Swaruu's topic. I will promise to keep my eye on Swaruu from down here with this. And I can be there for you as well, of course, with anything you need.
Thank you. Please help us protect Swaruu, our youngest and brightest. She may be bright as a star, but she is also a little young, inexperienced girl.
She shall be protected.
As you see, that was a story. Swaruu always had to be accompanied. This was Alanim's petition. This was their petitions in general to have, to have less contact, to have no contact. So we had to be these bodyguards and gatekeepers, as as they also called me a few times, because that's how it was. That's what they wanted. And it's very important. We never asked them. We never made them cut contacts with anybody. Because some of these ex-contactees might think, I don't know, that it has something to do with us. Never. I was, like I said, I repeat, always very happy to share this with other people. In fact, many of these contactees were because I introduced them to this Swaruu and Aneeka, but just then they just couldn't handle it, and they were just so puzzled how to solve this. So we had to say no. We had to say no to some of the new people that wanted contact. We were receiving slack by many, like we are possessive. That was in the beginning, okay? In the Spanish community, especially. That's why I am mentioning it. But yeah, we could never tell them to cut or not to cut. We were just listening to them and trying to help and navigate this. But in the end, they always had the control. We could never impose or control them in that way. Why would we in the first place? In the end, they were always the ones with the last word. Who they wanted to talk to and who they didn't want to talk to. They were always the ones deciding that in the end for themselves. We could only suggest and advise based on what they were saying, but only that. And Swaruu had so much to do. She was always complaining also about Taygetans themselves as well. As you see here, everybody's talking about everybody. She was complaining that they were running to her with every single problem. That anything happened on the ship, small engineering problem, something in the kitchen, a psychological issue, it was all Swaruu. That's what she was saying, that they were just always running to her for everything, and she had no peace. She wanted to write, for example, and she was always interrupted. All of this together was just beginning to be too much of a burden for her, and she started to display, to manifest physical symptoms. So this is when she started to feel sick more and more, okay? And we are going to get to this in the next part, because this part was more to do with the contacts themselves in the beginning. But now in the second part, we're going to go into her health. Very, very, very important chapter as well. So stay tuned. Next video is coming up. And then a chapter or chapters about Aneeka, and then chapters about Yazhi. Never before published chats and insights into honest look. Okay, I was trying to be very honest here for both sides, human ETs. How I perceive this, how I perceive this early communication with Swaruu and Aneeka. I think that's it for now, but stay tuned because so much more is coming up. You're gonna love this. Thank you, and until next time, I can't wait to share with you the next part. For now, this is all. Bye bye.